how media controls your mind without you knowing it. Right now, as you're watching this video, your brain is being influenced in ways you can't consciously detect. That background music, the color of this thumbnail, even the way I'm positioned in this frame, every single element has been carefully designed to affect your emotions, your attention, and ultimately, your behavior. And here's the scary part. This is happening to you hundreds of times every single day. You think you're in control of your choices, what you buy, what you believe, who you vote for, even how you feel about yourself. But what if I told you that billion-dollar corporations and media companies have spent decades perfecting techniques to bypass your conscious mind entirely? They're not trying to convince you logically, they're programming you subconsciously. And the most disturbing part? It's working better than ever before. In the next few minutes, I'm going to show you exactly how this invisible manipulation works, why it's so effective, and most importantly, how you can protect yourself from it. Because once you see these techniques, you can never unsee them. Welcome to VF Growth Tutorials, where we pull back the curtain on the forces that shape your daily life. I'm your host, and today, we're diving into one of the most fascinating and frankly unsettling topics I've ever covered. The hidden world of subliminal messaging in media. This isn't conspiracy theory territory, this is documented science backed by decades of research in psychology, neuroscience, and consumer behavior. What we're about to explore will fundamentally change how you consume media. You'll start noticing things in advertisements, movies, news broadcasts, and even social media that were always there but completely invisible to your conscious awareness. These aren't accidents or coincidences. They're sophisticated psychological techniques designed to influence your thoughts, emotions, and behaviors without your knowledge or consent. I need to be upfront with you. Some people find this information uncomfortable because it reveals just how much of our daily experience is being subtly manipulated. But I believe knowledge is power, and understanding these techniques is the first step toward reclaiming control over your own mind. If you're ready to see behind the magic trick, hit that like button right now, and let's dive deep into the hidden world of media manipulation. Subliminal messaging isn't just clever marketing. It's rooted in fundamental principles of how the human brain processes information. Your conscious mind can focus on about 7 pieces of information at once, but your subconscious is constantly processing thousands of sensory inputs every second. This creates a massive opportunity for influence that operates completely below your awareness threshold. The key mechanism behind subliminal influence is something called priming. When your brain is exposed to certain stimuli, images, sounds, colors, or words, it creates neural pathways that make related thoughts and behaviors more likely to occur later. For example, if you're exposed to images of luxury cars while watching a TV show, you don't consciously register those images, but they prime your brain to think about status, success, and premium products when you're making purchasing decisions hours or even days later. Neuroscience research has shown that subliminal stimuli can activate the same brain regions as conscious stimuli, just with less intensity. This means your brain is literally forming associations and making judgments about things you never consciously saw or heard. The emotional centers of your brain, particularly the amygdala and limbic system, are especially susceptible to this type of influence because they operate faster than your rational, conscious mind. What makes this particularly powerful is that subliminal influence bypasses your critical thinking entirely. When someone tries to convince you of something directly, your brain automatically evaluates their arguments, considers alternative perspectives, and makes a conscious decision. But when the influence happens subliminally, there's no conscious evaluation process. The ideas simply integrate into your existing belief system as if they were your own original thoughts. This is why subliminal messaging is so effective at shaping preferences, attitudes, and behaviors. It doesn't feel like external manipulation because it operates through your brain's natural pattern recognition and association building processes. The thoughts and feelings that result from subliminal priming feel authentic and self-generated, which makes them much more likely to influence your actual decisions and actions. Visual subliminal messaging in advertising operates on multiple sophisticated levels that most consumers never recognize. The most basic technique involves embedding images or symbols within larger compositions at brightness levels or exposure times that fall just below conscious recognition thresholds. These images might appear for just a few milliseconds in a video advertisement or be camouflaged within the background elements of a print ad, but they're processed by your subconscious mind nonetheless. Color psychology plays a massive role in visual manipulation. Red increases urgency and appetite, which is why it dominates fast food branding and clearance sale advertisements. Blue conveys trust and stability, making it the preferred choice for banks and technology companies. Green suggests health and prosperity, explaining its prevalence in financial services and organic food marketing. These color choices aren't aesthetic preferences. They're calculated decisions based on decades of research into how different wavelengths of light affect human emotions and decision-making. Product placement has evolved far beyond simply showing branded items in movies and TV shows. Modern placement techniques involve strategic positioning of products in your peripheral vision, where your conscious mind won't focus on them, but your subconscious will register their presence. The angle at which products are displayed, their relative size compared to other objects, and even their placement relative to attractive people or positive situations all serve to create positive associations without conscious awareness. Facial expression manipulation is another powerful technique that operates completely below consciousness. Advertisements often include faces displaying micro-expressions of satisfaction, desire, or social approval that are visible for just milliseconds. Your brain's facial recognition systems process these expressions automatically and trigger corresponding emotional responses. This is why you might feel inexplicably positive about a product after seeing an advertisement, even if you can't consciously remember what made the ad appealing. The most sophisticated visual manipulation involves exploiting your brain's natural tendency to follow certain visual patterns. Eye-tracking research has shown that people scan images in predictable ways, and advertisers use this knowledge to guide your visual attention through carefully designed compositions. They place the most important persuasive elements along your natural eye movement patterns, ensuring that even if you're consciously focused on something else, the key messaging still reaches your subconscious processing centers. Sound operates as one of the most direct pathways to your subconscious mind, bypassing many of the filtering mechanisms that your conscious awareness uses to evaluate visual information. Audio subliminal techniques range from obvious manipulations like background music selection to incredibly subtle approaches like embedded frequency patterns that influence your brainwave states without any conscious recognition of what's happening. Background music in advertisements, retail environments, and media content is never chosen randomly. Different musical elements, tempo, key, rhythm, and instrumentation have predictable effects on human psychology and behavior. Fast tempo music with major keys increases energy and impulsiveness, making it perfect for encouraging quick purchasing decisions. Slow, minor key music creates emotional depth and contemplation, often used in advertisements for insurance, healthcare, or luxury goods where thoughtful consideration is part of the desired consumer mindset. Volume dynamics and frequency manipulation represent more advanced audio subliminal techniques. Certain sound frequencies can influence your emotional state directly through their effects on brainwave patterns. Low frequencies around 20 to 60 Hz can create feelings of unease or urgency, while higher frequencies in the 8 to 12 Hz range promote relaxation and receptiveness. These frequencies are often embedded in background music or ambient sound at levels that don't register consciously but still affect your neurological state. Voice tonality and pacing in advertisements and media content are carefully calibrated to match specific psychological profiles. Sales psychology research has identified vocal patterns that increase trust, authority, urgency, and emotional connection. The slight upturn in pitch at the end of statements makes declarations sound like questions, encouraging agreement. Strategic pauses create emphasis and allow persuasive statements to sink into subconscious processing. Even the gender of the voice is selected based on the target audience and the type of response desired. Perhaps the most controversial audio technique involves actual subliminal messaging, words or phrases embedded in audio at frequencies or volumes below conscious recognition, but still detectable by your auditory processing systems. While the effectiveness of traditional subliminal audio messages is debated, there's no question that subtle audio cues can influence mood, attention, and behavior. Modern techniques often involve masking persuasive language within environmental sounds, music, or other audio elements that provide conscious cover for the subliminal content. Digital media has revolutionized subliminal messaging by enabling real-time, personalized manipulation based on your individual psychological profile and behavioral patterns. Every click, scroll, pause, and interaction you make online generates data about your preferences, vulnerabilities, and decision-making patterns. This information is then used to customize subliminal influence techniques specifically for your unique psychological makeup. Social media platforms use sophisticated algorithms to determine not just what content you see, but when you see it, in what order, and surrounded by what other elements. The timing of content delivery is calibrated to your personal attention patterns and emotional states throughout the day. If the algorithm detects that you're more susceptible to emotional manipulation in the evening, that's when you'll see content designed to trigger strong emotional responses that lead to engagement, sharing, or purchasing behaviors. Personalized advertising has moved far beyond demographic targeting to psychological targeting based on your digital footprint. Companies can now predict your personality traits, emotional vulnerabilities, and even your current mood based on your online behavior patterns. This information enables them to select colors, images, language, and timing that are most likely to influence your specific psychological profile. What appears to be a random advertisement is actually a carefully crafted psychological intervention designed specifically for your mind. The infinite scroll and intermittent reinforcement schedules used by social media platforms create addiction-like behavioral patterns that make you more susceptible to subliminal influence. When your attention is captured and your critical thinking is diminished by the dopamine-driven engagement cycles, your subconscious becomes more receptive to embedded messaging. This is why you might find yourself making impulsive purchases or developing strong opinions about topics after spending time on social media, even when you can't consciously trace those influences back to specific content. Artificial intelligence and machine learning have enabled predictive behavioral manipulation that anticipates your needs and desires before you're consciously aware of them yourself. These systems can identify patterns in your behavior that predict future purchasing decisions, political preferences, or lifestyle changes, then begin subtly influencing you toward those outcomes weeks or months in advance. By the time you make what feels like a spontaneous decision, you've actually been gradually primed through hundreds of micro-influences delivered through your digital media consumption. Political and news media manipulation represents perhaps the most sophisticated and consequential application of subliminal messaging techniques. Unlike commercial advertising, which primarily aims to influence purchasing decisions, political subliminal messaging is designed to shape your fundamental beliefs about reality, society, and governance. These techniques operate through carefully crafted visual, audio, and contextual elements that influence your political attitudes without triggering your conscious critical evaluation processes. Visual framing techniques in news media subtly influence how you perceive political figures and events through strategic choices in camera angles, lighting, background elements, and image selection. Politicians favored by a news organization might be shown from slightly lower camera angles that convey authority and strength, with warm lighting that creates positive emotional associations. Those being criticized might be photographed from high angles that diminish their apparent power, with harsh lighting or unflattering expressions that trigger negative subconscious responses. Language patterns and word choice in news reporting create subliminal associations that shape public opinion on complex issues. The difference between describing someone as a freedom fighter versus a terrorist, or calling an event a protest versus a riot, creates entirely different emotional and conceptual frameworks in your mind. These word choices are often made consistently across multiple news outlets, creating the impression of objective reporting while actually implementing coordinated subliminal influence campaigns. Background music, sound effects, and ambient audio in news broadcasts and political advertisements are carefully selected to trigger specific emotional responses that support the intended messaging. Ominous, minor key music during segments about opposing political candidates creates subconscious associations with danger and untrustworthiness. Uplifting major key music during stories about preferred candidates or policies creates positive emotional associations that influence your attitudes even when the conscious content is relatively neutral. The strategic placement and repetition of political messaging across different media channels creates what psychologists call the mere exposure effect. The tendency to develop preferences for things simply because you encounter them frequently. Political strategists coordinate subliminal messaging campaigns across television, radio, digital media, and print publications to ensure that target audiences are exposed to consistent subliminal cues that gradually shift public opinion on key issues without triggering conscious resistance or critical evaluation. Developing immunity to subliminal manipulation requires a combination of conscious awareness techniques and practical changes to your media consumption habits. The first step is understanding that subliminal influence is not a theoretical possibility, but a daily reality that affects everyone who consumes modern media. Once you accept this reality, you can begin implementing specific strategies to maintain your mental autonomy and make more conscious, intentional decisions. Media literacy education represents your most powerful defense against subliminal manipulation. This involves learning to consciously analyze the construction techniques used in advertisements, news broadcasts, social media content, and entertainment media. Start paying attention to color choices, camera angles, music selection, timing patterns, and visual composition elements. When you train yourself to consciously notice these elements, they lose much of their subliminal power because your critical thinking processes become engaged in evaluating their intended effects. Creating conscious barriers between yourself and media consumption helps reduce your susceptibility to subliminal influence. This might involve watching advertisements with the sound turned off to focus on visual manipulation techniques, or listening to audio content without visuals to identify voice tonality and music manipulation. Taking regular breaks during media consumption allows your conscious mind to process and evaluate what you've been exposed to, rather than allowing subliminal elements to accumulate unchallenged in your subconscious. Diversifying your information sources and actively seeking out contradictory perspectives helps counteract the echo chamber effects that make subliminal manipulation more effective. When you're only exposed to consistent messaging from similar sources, subliminal techniques can reinforce each other and create false certainties about complex issues. By deliberately consuming media from diverse viewpoints, you create cognitive dissonance that activates your critical thinking and makes you less susceptible to any single source of subliminal influence. The most advanced protection strategy involves developing what psychologists call metacognitive awareness, the ability to think about your own thinking processes. This means regularly questioning why you feel certain ways about products, political issues, or social topics, and tracing those feelings back to their potential sources. When you find yourself with strong preferences or opinions that you can't consciously justify, that's often a sign that subliminal influence may be involved. By maintaining this level of self-awareness, you can identify and counter subliminal manipulation before it significantly affects your decisions and beliefs. Thank you for taking this eye-opening journey with me into the hidden world of subliminal messaging in media. Your willingness to confront uncomfortable truths about media manipulation shows the kind of intellectual courage that's becoming increasingly rare in our world. By understanding these techniques, you're already ahead of 99% of people who remain completely unconscious of these influences. If this video opened your eyes to the reality of subliminal manipulation, please hit that like button to help spread this crucial information to others who need to see it. Make sure you're subscribed to VF Growth Tutorials and hit that notification bell so you'll be the first to know when we release more content about protecting your mind from manipulation and influence. I'm really curious about your personal experience with subliminal influence. Can you think of a time when you made a decision or developed a preference that you couldn't fully explain rationally? Share your story in the comments below. Your insights might help other viewers recognize similar patterns in their own lives. Your education in mental protection doesn't stop here. YouTube has identified the perfect next video to continue building your defense against manipulation and influence. Just click anywhere on your screen to keep learning how to maintain control over your own mind and make truly independent decisions. I'll see you in the next video.